It's just like, dude, you gonna graduate anytime soon? Because it feels like you've been in school forever. It feels like he's been in school forever. I don't know. It's just.
But no, I agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Potter, but I think, again, a smart move by the creator is that the Fantastic Beasts, they're all adults. They're adult wizards living in the world, living in apartments, everything. So it's kind of like her niche, which people still read Harry Potter and watch the movies. Like, kids still read all that. But the kids that started with Harry Potter are now our age, like adults, and they wanted a new, following. You're not going to follow a 13, 14-year-old kid's journey again.
Right.
But this guy's journey is like, in his 30s almost, or 20, or late 20s, early 30s. And smart girl, smart lady, because we'll follow him. Yes, we will.
Right. All right, so that was going to be our top fives that we had for each of ours. But we thought that it would be only fair that we have some honorable mentions throughout this broadcast and talk about a couple other movies that are going to be coming out, because Tori, being the internet worm, not bookworm, but the internet worm that she is, she's got some of the dates out for some of the movies that are coming out that are definitely going to be on her watch list as well as mine. We'll get into that in just a minute. Let's get into the honorable mentions. Definitely want to throw Nerve in there because, all honesty, you guys, basically it's almost like an app for people to just dare each other to do something, and then you get paid for it. And, it has John Franco and, like I said, I can't remember who the actress's name is, but this was actually a really good movie, and the way that it ended, it was actually pretty good, because the way that it ended, the way they ended the whole app thing, it made sense. They were making it seem like, you guys are going to be, basically people who are going to be accessories to a felony, basically. And that's how they stopped the app. And I'm like, that's actually pretty smart. I never would have thought of that. So honestly, Nerve is definitely one of those few movies that I would definitely put on there. Did you have any that you would want to mention as an honorable mention?
Yeah, and I know people will kind of semi-hate this, but I have to do the two DC movies as honorable mentions, because I did go see them, and they did pull me in, even though I knew they were not going to be the best. But Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, honorable mentions. Suicide Squad I didn't think was as brutal as Batman vs. Superman, but I have to say I don't own Suicide Squad yet because it's not on DVD, but I'm going to. I buy them, and I will support DC regardless. I know it wasn't the best. I do own Batman vs. Superman, though, and I'm not going to say they're horrible movies. I can enjoy parts of them.
Yeah.
And so I believe that they deserve to be honorably mentioned.
Well, I will say this, that as far as Suicide Squad goes, and I think that Will Smith and Margaret Roberts, who played Harley Quinn, they seriously did. They actually. Yes, thank you. They honestly did pretty good jobs playing their characters, and same thing with Ben Affleck. He had some pretty high standards of combating against Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer. No, I'm not going to throw George Clooney in there because he was a horrible Batman, and he even admitted that. But all in all, I thought Ben Affleck did a pretty good job as a Batman. I'm not going to lie. I thought that he did pretty good. So it wasn't like it was a total waste. It was just that I think some of the stories were just a little bit hard to really follow and a little bit hard to deal. And I will say this, that I actually had somebody who basically asked me, well, did you see... did you read the comics? Did you see the original movies? Did you see this? Did you see that? Like, almost like this entire backstory. And I told him, no, I really haven't. And he says, well, you don't have a right to give your opinion. So it's like, well then, I guess somebody's got to be touchy about these DC movies. So for those of you that are listening, let me know if you think that my opinion matters when it comes down to that, just because I haven't read the comics or the movies and stuff like that. And, just send me a tweet. Feel free to. I'm interested to know what everybody else has to say, but it's like, hey, I saw the movie, so I have a right to my opinion. Yeah, but you didn't read the comics. So? Just because I love Spider-Man, does that mean I still have to read the comics? No. Doesn't mean I can't love him. So, it's just really weird. But, okay. Yeah.
No worries.
Well, you're one of the more merciful DC fans. I will say that. One more movie before we get into the projectile future of movies, and that being, oh gosh, the way that my co-host Max put it, he says that how is it that a movie can just be so happy about killing people in Hardcore Henry? Because this was a first-person movie, and I will say this, that anybody who has motion sickness probably should not see this movie, but all in all, it's very underappreciated. This was actually a really good movie. Everything from you being the main character to finding out about your past, about trying to stop this villain, trying to save your wife, working with, I think his name was like Uncle Jimmy or something like that, who is honestly the highlight of the movie, in my opinion. He just roped me in every single time. He's like, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? And he just keeps appearing every now and then. It's like, how are you not dead? And then we find out, it's like, oh, that's why. Okay. But all in all, I think it was a funny, action-filled, as well as enjoyable movie. And I would love to see, a second one if they actually did it. But I know that first-person TV series, movies are very hard to keep people's interest in.
Right. It was really cool, though, I do have to say.
Yeah, like I said, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a different style of shooting, and I can respect directors who take that chance. So, respect. I guess, Nate, can I throw one other movie? This is the last one.
Yeah, sure.
Last honorable mention. It's only an honorable mention because we didn't have space for it, but Moana was a really good
Moana,
movie.
that's right. Oh, man.
Yeah, I really like, and speaking of, we talked about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He did awesome. He sung in this movie.
Well, I already knew that The Rock was a great singer going from, his days in wrestling, too, but I already knew he was a great singer, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing how he sings in this movie.
It was great. It actually still gets cut in my head. I've only seen it once, and I'm always trying to say, "You're welcome," because he always just, his song is about saying you're welcome. He's a demigod who's a little bit full of himself. Which is great. He played this part amazingly, and I want to do a shout out to Disney for doing an amazing job again, and they enveloping us into this Hawaiian culture and everything, and kind of what they do, and how they were voyagers going to island to island and exploring, and just this style of having a princess and everything. It was really cool. It was fun to find out about all that stuff, and I learned something new, and also the fact that I'm not going to remember the voice actor's name, but the princess, Moana, her voice acting, they did a competition in Hawaii for it. So I always have to note Disney for doing that, and getting an actual, Hawaiian native to play the native princess, and I just thought that was cool, and she did awesome. Everybody did amazing. Great songs. I'm excited.
All right, so we got our honorable mentions down, but we do have to mention that there are still plenty of chances to see some awesome movies coming up actually very quickly. And I believe, Tori, you mentioned that you had some of the dates for at least 3 of the movies that are pretty interesting to see.
Yes. So, of course, which I don't even know why I have to say this date, but Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One, December 16th is the day it's supposed to come out. I'm pretty sure they're doing the pre-release, though, December 15th. I remember everybody keeps sending me invites for pre-release parties and stuff. But, yep, Rogue One, who knows if that would make our list? Most likely it would. It's looking amazing. And can I just throw out that I had to post something on Facebook today. I don't know if it's been around for a while, but it was an ad for Rogue One where this girl it looked like she was from the Pacific Islands or something, she was wearing, which you didn't even know it was a girl at first, but wears a stormtrooper mask to school and all over and everywhere she goes. And she's like wearing this stormtrooper mask. You guys have to check this out. I'm going to give it away. I'm sorry, but she's wearing this stormtrooper mask, and her brother always wears a hoodie that's a stormtrooper and takes her to school, and people kind of look at her funny. And then finally, like at the end of the ad, we see she's heading into class again with her stormtrooper mask, and she does all those different cool stormtrooper stuff. And she walks in, and everybody in class has a stormtrooper mask on. And you're like, what? What's going on? Like her teachers, everybody. And she takes the helmet off, and she's fighting cancer. So she wears the mask to protect herself, and like hide that she has like a bald head, and then she has trouble breathing. So she does the noise, the breathing noise, like the stormtrooper mask. And then Rogue One pops up, and like I was just tearing up. I was becoming an emotional wreck. And Rogue One, it was just like Elite Geek sent out the video, and it's already gotten almost 1 million views, and it's amazing. So if you guys go on my Facebook page, VicTori Belle, you can see it there, but it's all over. You'll see it. If you see like a little kid walking around with a stormtrooper mask, and you're like, should I click on this? Click on it. It's worth watching.
Star Wars for life.
What?
I said Star Wars for life.
Right. It was just amazing. So cute. And such a good, a good message that Rogue One was putting out. So moving on to other movies, December 21st is the next date, the next Friday that a bunch of movies come out. Assassin's Creed comes out, and I know that Nate's super stoked about that.
Yeah.
Super stoked about. Yeah. And then another movie that looks really promising is The Passengers, which is with Jennifer Lawrence and oh my gosh,
Chris Pratt.
I'm forgetting his name. Thank you, Chris Pratt. I'm like, Guardians of the Galaxy main character. And they're like, they wake up on a spaceship like 20 years before they should, or maybe even 200 years before they should.
Something like that.
They're the only two characters. Huh?
Is it something like that?
Yeah. But it looks awesome, and they're amazing. So I'm gonna go see it.
That looks. It does look flat out amazing.
Yeah, and then the last one, again, this is one Nate probably won't go and see because it looks like a romantic movie. But it's called The Space Between Us, and the trailer's been out for a while, but it's about the boy who grew up on Mars, and he's the only one left that's still alive, and he wants to come back to Earth, and he's been communicating with, like, he's in the high school age, and he's been communicating via the internet up to another high schooler here on Earth, and he basically is from Mars, and he wants to come to Earth. So he comes to Earth, and you just see kind of, if their love story happens, it sounds like he breaks out of the military base. So it's like almost a different version of the alien runaway, because he is a human. He was just born on a different planet. So he's a Martian.
Well, there's also...
Yeah, that's the last one.
Well, there was also one more movie that I thought looked pretty interesting, and it looks like one of those DreamWorks movies, so we'll have to see how well that goes. It's the movie Sing, in which I guess there's a bunch of animals that are singing like a lot of modern day songs and stuff like that. I look at it and I'm kind of intrigued by it. I'm thinking, okay, this might actually be kind of interesting. There might be some parts that might be inappropriate, but it looks interesting nonetheless. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of intrigued by it, seeing how that goes. So I thought I'd throw that one out there.
That's the 21st as well.
Yep.
So basically, I guess the first we just sit in the theater, just sit, and then they play different movies. That's what's going to happen. My finger.
I'll go all the way down to Chicago, and I will just sit in the movie theater with you, and we'll watch all three of those movies. We'll watch Passengers, Sing, watch Assassin's Creed, and we'll call it a pretty productive day.
Nice. Great. That actually would be
So one thing I want to touch base on before we actually head out is that next year, like I said, is going to be a monumental year for movies. I mean, all honesty, everything that's coming out is probably going to at least be 5 stars, even maybe better. Who knows? But